All right. Time for the main event. Let's talk about Hunter Biden. Let's talk about the update. Let's talk about where we are today. Now, my video yesterday is entitled No One Cares About Hunter Biden. I want to be clear. When I say that no one cares about Hunter Biden, what I mean is that no one who was going to vote for Joe Biden is now going to vote for Donald Trump because of the Hunter Biden allegations. Going back to last year in February, before Joe Biden got actually on the campaign trail, started running seriously for president. People knew about Hunter Biden allegations. Now, of course, they didn't know the level and the detail involved. But while many Americans did not feel that these were okay and that this was going to be problematic, the general consensus, given that he won the Democratic primary, is that these aren't going to stop someone from voting for Joe Biden. And that's really all that matters, right? If you think that the Department of Justice or anyone is going to seriously pursue allegations against Hunter Biden, given that the media is already suppressing the story, then all right, cool. Andrew Yang also is winning the Democratic primary, and he's just waiting until the last minute when all the people are going to show up and vote for him. Like, that's just not realistic. Now, I'll give you the information because I want you to know. This video is going to be fairly long because we're going to cover the update. We're going to cover a couple of different perspectives, and we have new information from Rudy Giuliani that basically says that not only is this 100% accurate, but he has more information coming in the future. So, give me 1 second. I'm going to start this thing off with my boy DJT. He brought up Hunter Biden in a rally he did yesterday in Georgia. So let's hear what the president has to say about the Biden family.
Very high marks for that last night, but they thought it was very unfair that Sleepy Joe, who cannot answer a question, he really can't answer a question. Well, Chris Wallace protected him with me. I talked about the Moscow $3.5 million payment. I talked about the $1 billion. Chris Wallace wouldn't he said, no, that's not appropriate. Why? You mean a guy's allowed to take $3.5 million and we're not allowed to talk to him about it? I'm telling you, that Biden family, and others, but that Biden family is corrupt. It's a corrupt family. And with me and my kids, let me tell you, my kids, I'll tell you something, though, and it's fair. Lock them up. You should lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary. Lock them up. Can you imagine if my kids did what this guy Hunter is doing? Ivanka. Oh, my beautiful, my wonderful Ivanka. She's a good kid. Can you imagine? And you know, she's much smarter, much sharper. She could, if she wanted to, how could she do well? And Don and Eric and Tiffany, they're good kids. But you know, we don't do things. It's like, boy, they'd make a fortune. Just think of it. And when you look at what they get away with, and by the way, Biden's brother, try that one. I won't go too deep in the family. I'm not looking to insult everybody. But honestly, in my opinion, it's a criminal enterprise. It's a criminal enterprise.
Yo, he went for it.
He's like a vacuum cleaner. The father goes through and the son comes in a vacuum cleaner, millions of dollars for him. Take a look at the way they live. 47 years he's a politician. He lives very well. Almost as well as Maxine Waters. You ever see her house?
So that was the president, of course. You know, he was going to weigh in. I think there was a couple of interesting things that he said in there. One, saying lock him up, reminding everyone that he was supposed to lock up Hillary Clinton. Didn't actually get around to that. I think that was one of the big talking points for him that everyone was really disappointed about. That was one of the campaign promises that we were really looking forward to. Didn't lock up Hillary Clinton. So as Harris said, referring to Joe Biden, oh, that was just the primary. Oh, this is just when they're running for office. This stuff doesn't really matter, the actual personal attacks. But yeah, this is definitely getting juicy, right? So let's get into this, right? The allegations, of course, there was a laptop that was dropped off at some repair facility, never picked up. The owner takes it. He turned it in, but first he cloned it and he gave it to Rudy Giuliani, or was it Rudy Giuliani's attorney? Whatever the case. So they've had this for like a long time. They've had this hard drive for, I think they said last December. And now it's just now coming out and questions are being raised. Now, the big piece yesterday was that the social media platforms, when this story was posted by the New York Post, immediately suppressed it. They wouldn't allow you to share it on their platform. You couldn't send it to anybody. You couldn't repost it. So they were really trying to keep this thing under wraps. Holistic Heidi says Giuliani is crazy. You know, crazy old Rudy. I just watched a part of that interview. I got to say, he's looking real lucid right now. Whatever they're passing around for these 80-plus-year-old politicians right now that they're taking when they do these interviews, it clearly works because you see them sometimes and they're just like, yo, the guy's out of his mind. And then you see him other times and you're like, okay, he sounds very clear. He's thought about this. He's not just winging it right now. Okay, we're going to move on. All right, so Hunter Biden email detailing alleged Chinese ties confirmed by source. So before we get into that, let me show you this brief clip from Fox News. This is basically what the allegations are, and then we're going to get into the confirmation piece.
Concerning the emails allegedly coming from a computer belonging to Joe Biden's son, Hunter. Fox News has secured more of those email messages, and the dollar numbers involved are staggering. Here's senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel.
Fox News has obtained more emails purported to be from Hunter Biden's laptop. From May 2017, correspondence with Chinese energy executives about remuneration packages, which two sources have verified to Fox News. It discusses payment for 6 people, including a reference to 10% of the equity in the deal be held by H for the big guy. Sources tell Fox News the big guy is Joe Biden, noting this was after he left office. Another email from August 2017 seeking $10 million per year in a deal that would be interesting to me and my family. Today, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton offered this assessment.
What these documents reveal, if authentic, is largely what we've known all along about Hunter Biden and really Joe Biden's entire family, is that they've been trading on his public office for decades.
Fox also obtained alleged Hunter Biden emails about his business dealings in Ukraine in 2014 and 2015 when his father was vice president, playing a leading role on Obama administration foreign policy.
While he's talking to the Ukrainian parliament about corruption, his son is on the board of the most corrupt gas company in the Ukraine.
Now 19 House Republicans, led by Arizona's Andy Biggs, are demanding the FBI reveal whether it was in possession of the laptop containing those emails during President Trump's impeachment last December, writing, quote, a large portion of the president's legal defense case revolved around strong evidence that former Vice President Biden's son Hunter was peddling his influence to his father to land lucrative jobs overseas that he might not have otherwise been qualified for. The FBI acknowledges receipt of the congressman's letter, but is offering no further comment. The contents of the purported Hunter Biden laptop were also given to Rudy Giuliani's attorney. The Washington Post reports the White House was warned Giuliani was the target of a Russian intelligence operation to feed misinformation to President Trump. Giuliani responded today.
One would think if I were dealing with some kind of a agent of this and that, someone would have warned me. No one did. I have never heard of that before.
The Office of the Director of National Intelligence referred our call to the White House. A spokesman.
So that's where they are, right? We got no comment. We got new emails and some pretty serious allegations. Now, we're now moving away from just Hunter Biden being involved and using his dad's name to Hunter Biden directly holding funds for Joe Biden. And that is a direct implication in those emails. So this is very significant. But, of course, my contention is that Twitter and Facebook were already suppressing the story. This didn't come up during the town hall with Joe Biden. And here we are several days later, and the story is now shifting to whether or not Giuliani is a what do they call him? Giuliani is being played by some Russian provocateur, and it's just like, hey, maybe we should focus on that story. You know what I mean? The story that really prompted the entire impeachment hearing. Like, this is the crazy thing. We forgot that the impeachment came from this whole Ukraine, came from President Trump saying to look into Joe Biden's Ukraine dealings. Then we skipped all of that, and now we're focusing on just like, what's going on right now? So here's the confirmation piece. The Fox report also cast light on a tantalizing mystery of the emails as first raised by the Post, a reference to 10% of the proposed business equity perhaps going to the big guy. The big guy was a reference to Joe Biden, Fox revealed, citing unnamed sources. The Post had broken the news of the Chinese wheeling dealings on Thursday, but the reference to the big guy had not previously been clarified. Fox's source verifying the emails were authentic is not named, but the network said the person was someone copied on the thread. Pretty significant. That's pretty significant. Hunter Biden in the email was identified as chair, vice chair, depending on agreement with the CEFC, an apparent reference to the former Shanghai-based conglomerate CEFC, China Energy Co. The deal also listed 10 for Jim and 10 held for H by the big guy. Sources told Fox News that big guy is a reference to the former vice president. Now, I'd also come across Joe Biden actually being asked about this. Oh, let me see if I can find it. Joe Biden was asked about this yesterday. Give me 1 second. He basically attacked the reporter. He basically attacked the reporter when asked about it. Give me 1 second. Okay, his response was, "I have no response." Furious Biden refuses to answer when he is finally asked about his son's Ukraine emails as a candidate slams reporter and says it's another smear campaign. That's pretty specific, man. That is pretty specific. You're looking forward to voting for Biden. Again, my job is to give you the information. You can do what you want. I could care less who you vote for. I just want informed voters. I think that's what we need in this country. And that's why I have such a big issue with Facebook and other platforms deciding that they're not going to give us the information and letting us decide for ourselves. There's no poll that I've read that has led me to believe that this is going to have a significant impact on the election. But I do think this is a nice talking point for Donald Trump. But it's a talking point. But as we saw in the primary, it doesn't really stick. Not because it's not legit, but because people are more focused on Donald Trump's shortcomings than they are Hunter Biden's dealings. And I think there is this general implication that, or this general assumption that, you know, this is what happens behind closed doors anyway. Like you go into public office, you're in there for all this time, and you come out with tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. Surely something happens somewhere, but that's just the game that we're just not usually privy to. This is not mind-blowing news. Politicians become extremely wealthy, and they do it for an entire career. That is that what they all do? But is this? Oh, we have. Okay, so here's the video. I didn't know there was a video of it. Give me a second. Let me play that for you. Oh, maybe I can't play it.
And Mr. Biden, what is your response to the New York Post story about your son, sir?
I know you'd ask it. I have no response. It's another smear campaign. Right up your alley. Those are the questions you always ask.
And did you?
I don't think that's an appropriate response. That's not an appropriate response. These are very significant allegations. Again, one of the person who's confirming that Joe Biden is the person who's supposed to be receiving this $10 million is CC'd on the email. So that is problematic, right? Give me 1 second. All right, we're going to move along here. So this is a nice article from BBC where they actually give a nice summation of everything that's going on. It talks about the allegations specifically. And then we're going to roll over to Rudy, because Rudy is going to tell us that this is just the beginning. So We talked about the Post article. We talked about the accusations. Hunter flew in 2013 aboard Air Force Two with his father, who was the U.S. vice president, to an official visit to Beijing, where the younger Biden met investment banker Jonathan Lee. Hunter told The New Yorker he just met Mr. Lee for a cup of coffee, but 12 days after the trip, a private equity fund, BHR Partners, was approved by the Chinese authorities. Mr. Lee was chief executive and Hunter was a board member. He would hold a 10% take. BHR is backed by some of China's largest state banks and by local governments. According to U.S. media, Hunter Biden's lawyer said he had joined the board in an unpaid position based on the interest in seeking ways to bring China capital to international markets. His lawyer also said his client did not acquire his financial stake at BHR until 2017, after his father left office in the U.S. Hunter resigned from the board of BHR in 2020, but still held his 10% stake of BHR as late as July of this year, according to the company's report. Ah, boy. Oh, boy. So that's in China, because he got stuff going on in every country, right? Hunter is all for all the money. Wherever the money is, he's down. You got something in China, Russia's interested. Whoever's got a bag for me, I'm all for it. So what are the accusations in Ukraine? President Trump and his allies have accused Joe Biden of wrongdoing because he pushed while vice president for the Ukrainian government to fire its top prosecutor who was investigating the company for which Hunter worked. In 2016, Joe called for the dismissal of Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin, whose office had Burisma and other companies under investigation. However, other Western leaders and other major bodies that give financial support to Ukraine also wanted the prosecutor dismissed because they believed he was not active enough in tackling corruption. What did this have to do with impeachment? Of course, in 2019, details emerged of President Trump had made to the president of Ukraine, which he had urged the Ukrainian leader to investigate the Bidens. This led to charges by the Democrats that Mr. Trump was trying to illegally pressure Ukraine to help damage his election rival, resulting in impeachment by the House of Representatives. Trump denied he'd done anything wrong and was later acquitted by the Republican-controlled U.S. Senate. So has anything been proven? No criminal activity has been proven. No evidence has been emerged that Joe Biden did anything to intentionally benefit his son, but it has raised questions about potential conflicts of interest. I don't know if this might be neglecting that $10 million payment that they're saying would have gone to Joe Biden himself. U.S. Republican lawmakers launched an investigation that found that Hunter's work for Ukrainian firm was problematic, but there was no evidence that U.S. foreign policy was influenced by it. So this looks like this is a summation, but I don't know if this is accounting for the new revelation regarding those funds. So this is 9 hours ago. Let's see. I guess that's about the right time period. Yeah, there's nothing illegal about sitting on a board of a company whilst family members serve in government, although Hunter Biden now says that serving on the Burisma board may have been poor judgment. Hunter Biden's lawyer said in a statement in October that he had undertaken these business activities independently. He did not believe it appropriate to discuss them with his father, nor did he. Now, of course, the emails suggest that is a lie. So moving on, let's talk about how the liberal side of the media is going to cover this story. Right now, we have we have Fox News. They're all for it. They're getting involved. We have Twitter and Facebook saying that they're going to suppress the story and they're going to prevent you from even sharing it. And let's see what CNN decides to focus on. We have the Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer from yesterday. Wolf, take it away.
Serious questions tonight about whether the Russians are using Rudy Giuliani to interfere in the U.S. presidential election. CNN senior national security correspondent Alex Marquardt is joining us. Alex, there are fears that what Giuliani is now pushing here in the United States could actually be part of Russia's latest and very massive disinformation campaign in the U.S. presidential election.
Massive indeed, Wolf. We do know that it's a very active Russian campaign. That's according to the U.S. intelligence community, and that Rudy Giuliani already had open contact with a person that the U.S. has called an agent for the Kremlin. Now, we are being told by two people who've been briefed on what the FBI is doing, that they're looking into whether these unverified emails about Hunter Biden that were published earlier this week by the New York Post about his business dealings in Ukraine and China are part of this bigger Russian disinformation effort in the 2020 election. Now, those efforts, according to the intelligence community, are to denigrate the Biden campaign and the former former vice president, in favor of President Trump. The New York Post says that they got these emails from Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon. Bannon did not respond to our request for comment, but last month he told a Dutch broadcaster that people should stand by for a release of documents about Hunter Biden. Now, this is far from the first time that Giuliani has tried to dig up dirt and promote disinformation on the Bidens. He's been photographed with a Ukrainian politician whose name is Andrei Derkach.
I just want to pause that for just a moment. Where's the disinformation? This isn't disinformation. This is a story that you don't like. Digging up dirt, if it's true, is just telling the truth. That's what journalists are supposed to do. There's nothing wrong here except for what's wrong here. This is problematic for me, right? We need to have some type of, I don't know what you're going to call it, but we got to have like some fact-based news, because this whole framing of this is completely, this is disingenuous. It's not disinformation. It doesn't matter the source of the information. It doesn't matter, what the intention is. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If he's not supposed to be receiving this money, he's not supposed to be receiving the money. If he's using his influence, or if he's using his father's influence to, obtain these positions, and it's documented, then so be it. Like that's the problem. Not Rudy Giuliani being a tool of Russia.
He has been named, Derkach, by the intelligence community as a Russian agent, and actually been sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department. So you have Rudy Giuliani openly working with a known Russian agent, and the president was reportedly warned about it. The Washington Post now reporting that the intelligence community was so concerned about this that they told the White House, and then the National Security Advisor himself told the president that any information that Rudy Giuliani brought to him could be contaminated by Russia. Wolf.
That's pretty stark indeed. So what's Giuliani saying to this idea that he's become what his critics are calling a tool for the Russians?
Well, of course, he's denying all this. He's trotting out the deep state argument that we've heard from many in the Trump orbit, saying that members of the intelligence community are out to get Trump. Take a listen to what he had to say earlier today on Fox News.
No one in the Trump administration warned me. No one in the intelligence community warned me. The president didn't say that to me. This is the first time I'm hearing that. Right. And I have a pretty good idea where it's coming from. And these are people who are trying to tear down Donald Trump and destroy his presidency
and
from
Mr.
inside
Mayor,
the intelligence community, of which there are many.
Now, Wolf, despite what he says there, it is clear that this latest effort by Giuliani is raising all sorts of red flags, enough for the FBI to now be looking at this as potentially part of Russia's broader attacks on the U.S.
Let's discuss with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. Does it surprise you at all that this information Rudy Giuliani is peddling very well could be connected to some sort of Russian government disinformation campaign?
well, we know that this whole smear on Joe.
What? Stop saying disinformation campaign. If it's legitimate information, then just say the Russians are leaking private information, or they're providing information. Don't say disinformation because you don't like the facts of what they're talking about. It's not disinformation if it's legitimate information.
Biden comes from the Kremlin. That's been clear for well over a year now, that they've been pushing this false narrative about the vice president and his son.
False narrative.
And, the idea that the president, that the White House counsel and others were made aware that Giuliani was being used by Russian intelligence and using Russian intelligence in the sense of meeting with an agent of the Kremlin and pushing out this Kremlin false narrative. The idea that they were knowing and still on the floor of the Senate during the impeachment trial, pushing this Kremlin narrative is pretty breathtaking. But I guess at this point we can't be shocked by anything this administration does, no matter how craven. But clearly, the origins of this whole smear are from the Kremlin, and the president is only too happy to have Kremlin help in trying to amplify it.
It's not like Rudy Giuliani is peddling this information in a vacuum, Congressman. Take a look at this picture of the president in the Oval Office holding up a copy of the New York Post, touting this conspiracy theory. It's made its way all the way to the commander-in-chief with a big smile on his face.
Yes. Well, look, I think we know who the driving force behind this smear has been all along, and it's been the president and the Kremlin. The Kremlin has an obvious interest in denigrating Joe Biden. They want Donald Trump to win. They recognize he's a weak president. He's been utterly unwilling to stand up to Putin and other autocrats. He has diminished NATO. He has criticized and weakened our alliance with our transatlantic partners. He's been the gift that doesn't stop giving for the Kremlin. So clearly they want to help him. So they want to denigrate the vice president. The intelligence community has made that abundantly clear. And this particular smear, though, has also been acknowledged to come from the Kremlin. And there it is in the Oval Office, another wonderful propaganda coup for Vladimir Putin, seeing the President of the United States holding up a newspaper promoting Kremlin propaganda. It's really incredible.
Okay. Before I move on, I just want to tell you guys, these are the ways that this story, okay, the facts, hard drive, okay? If I ever get in trouble, I swear to God, you guys better defend me like this. They got a hard drive, they got text messages, and they're describing this as false information, disinformation, conspiracy theory, origins through the Kremlin, smear campaign, attempts to denigrate Biden. They want to help Trump. Propaganda coup. They have a hard drive. A hard drive. Probably have some bank receipts. Probably have surely the lifestyle reflects the likelihood that some of this is at least potentially true. But we're going to focus on where the information came from, not the fact that the Democratic nominee has these political ties. This is just unbelievable. That's why you got to watch both sides, man. You can't just watch what you're into, because this is why you can't have rational conversations with people, because they're watching this. So we have Rudy Giuliani. He did an interview with what's his name? He's got a weird name. What is it? It's called, his name is something Detat. I forget the guy's name, but he's sitting right in front of him. He did this interview, I guess this is yesterday, where he talks about the story as of now.
You cover the crime, and then you figure out how did the investigator get it. You don't try to figure out first how did the investigator get it, so we can make it incredible. I mean, so this isn't a useful interview.
Well, let's talk about the crime then.
Yeah, let's talk about the crime, and then I can explain to you that it's verified about 20 different ways. Look, I've been doing this for 50 years.
Right.
So I can assure you this is perfectly legal, and this is his hard drive. His lawyer called this guy the day it came out. That's about the best verification you can have for it. He said, "Do you have Hunter Biden's drive?" I'm not sure what the source said, but I have the email of that. So his lawyer thinks it's his. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's a lot of crap that it isn't his. Of course it's his. And as I said, they haven't denied it. And let them deny specific ones. We're going to put them out. Let them say that the text from Hunter Biden to his daughter, saying that for the last 30 years, Hunter Biden has been supporting the family, and that the father requires him to kick back 50% of his salary to the vice president. Let them say that's not true. And then let's go look at how Joe has these multi-million-dollar houses, and he's never made more than $150,000. Everybody's always wondered, gee, how does Joe have these houses? I'll tell you how he has the houses. The bribe money that Joe's been collecting for 30 years goes to his brother, and it goes to his son, and they kick back 50% to him, and they cover all his bills, which is really a Chinese method of corruption, which is documented in the book by Schweiker, Secret Empires, Chapter 1. He describes how Americans like him, John Kerry, the Clintons, adopted this Chinese method of take the money in, have your expenses taken care of, kind of the way Al Sharpton lives. Have the money taken in. They pay for everything. I mean, do you know that Hunter Biden paid for his stepdaughter's half-sister's entire education? Why wouldn't Joe Biden pay for that education?
I mean, I think the question is, we don't know that yet. So when are we going to get to see?
Well, you'll get to see it, but
you're a prosecutor. We need direct evidence, right? Circumstantial evidence.
Well, you already have direct evidence that you're ignoring. You have direct evidence of a memo that was put out, a text that was put out that says specifically, I have to. All during the time that I been disrespected, says Hunter Biden to his daughter, I've been the one who supported this family for 30 years. And unlike Pop, I'm not going to require you to give half your salary to me. I didn't write that. He did. He hasn't denied he wrote it. What does that mean?
So, as you can probably tell, YouTube is now suppressing my stream. I'm breaking the internet with this one. Yeah, I'm going to give you guys the information, right? I don't think this is going to influence the election because I think people who are going to vote are going to vote. I think millions of Americans have already voted. That's pretty much confirmed. So how much of an impact this is going to have on the election? I don't think it'll have any impact. I think people who are going to vote for Trump are going to vote for Trump. I think people who weren't going to vote for Biden weren't going to vote for him regardless. It just gives them another reason. But again, the idea that this is a new concept, that this is not how politicians have conducted business forever, is kind of laughable to me. Like, I think that we know that this is what they do. We just don't usually have a smoking gun or a computer or a hard drive or text messages. So now we have these things. But unfortunately for President Trump, if he loses this election, it's not because of anything but his own undoing. Go back to my videos from February. I said Trump's definitely got this thing in the bag. Won't even be close. He lost this election. And when Joe Biden's the president and every other senator and governor and, foreign ambassador is doing the same stuff that was happening here and before, it'll just be business as usual. Like, this is politics as usual in America. So you need to seek out all the resources you can check. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't going to have any impact. This is just what it is. But it's come out because they really want to. They really want to keep Trump in office, or the Russians may really want to keep Trump in office. That's really neither here nor there. Is it true or is it not? Does this make Joe Biden ineligible to be president or not? Is it treason or not? That should be what we're talking about, but instead the media is going to turn this narrative into this is a coup. This is a smear campaign, and Joe Biden has no answers for you. So when I say that this isn't going to impact the election, it's because those people who want to vote for Joe Biden want to vote for Joe Biden no matter what. Okay. He has always been a flawed candidate. He has always had a iffy record. He came into this election with Hunter Biden allegations, still won the Democratic nomination, and Trump probably could have won this thing, but this pandemic is just taking him down. So I would love to hear what you guys think. You guys tell me what you think, right? Is this I don't care if you think it's gonna impact the election. I want to know, how does this impact you guys going forward? Is this new to you? Is this concept new to you? Is this going to change how you vote for elections going forward? If you found out that Donald Trump also had similar dealings, which I think we can all kind of surmise that's pretty likely that he has something like this going on himself, you going to not vote for anybody now? Are you giving up, or are you just going to keep it moving because this is politics as usual? Unfortunately, a lot of things need to change, but all this money is connected. All these corporations are connected. It's connected with our economy, and it's connected with our public policy. And we can't just simply pull the plug on one thing and I think that's going to solve it. This is a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger problem than maybe a lot of people think it is. So I'm going to leave it here because this video is probably already too long. I appreciate you guys for coming through. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And maybe I have another segment for you before I have to go. You guys have an awesome day. Thank you. And